Stop what you're doing. This is about you. Have you noticed a growing silence between you? That emptiness in conversations might seem harmless, but it's in that space that regret begins to seep in. When you don't communicate, what was once a dialogue turns into an echo of uncertainties. Unsaid words accumulate and create an emotional chasm. This silence may reflect unresolved issues. Moments when you should have spoken up but chose to stay silent. This choice, often driven by the fear of conflict, ends up generating invisible pressure. The lack of clarity only feeds confusion and creates insecurity. This is where regret sets in, making you wonder, what if I had spoken up? When you allow yourself to stay silent, you make room for doubt. The insecurities that arise in this moment can distort reality. You start to imagine scenarios, crafting stories that might not have any foundation. This can lead to misunderstandings, and what was a small frustration turns into a bigger crisis. What you don't say can be more powerful than the words you choose to use. It's crucial to recognize that what you feel is real and valid. You are not being excessive by worrying about what's happening. What matters is how you deal with this silence. Don't ignore the feeling that something is wrong. That internal alarm is a sign that changes need to be made. Now is the time to act. It's time to look inward and decide if you're going to continue allowing silence to govern your life. Reflect on the conversations you didn't have and the feelings you didn't express. You can choose to break this cycle. The truth may be painful, but it is liberating. It's time to see things as they really are. By acknowledging what's happening, you take control of the situation. You don't have to feel powerless anymore. The path to emotional clarity begins with the willingness to face these difficult conversations. Remember that you deserve a healthy and transparent relationship. The words you hesitate to say now might be the key to avoiding future regrets. If you've come this far, it's a sign, a call to action and not letting silence dictate the rules of your life. You deserve to live with authenticity and confidence. Avoid letting regret become a constant. Now more than ever, it's your chance to express yourself and seek the connection you so desire. When you allow yourself to stay silent, you not only lose the opportunity to express yourself, but you also give control of your emotions to external factors. This behavior can lead to a vicious cycle of dissatisfaction. You may feel increasingly distant, yet at the same time, hesitate to take the initiative to change this dynamic. It's important to understand that silence is often misinterpreted. What you might be thinking may not be what the other person is feeling. This lack of communication creates a barrier that only tends to grow. And the bigger this barrier, the more misunderstandings and conflicts can arise, turning small problems into mountains. You must remember that communication is a two-way street. When you don't speak, the other party may interpret your lack of words in various ways. This can lead to wrong assumptions and, consequently, actions that do not reflect the truth of what is happening. Thus, what could be a simple dialogue turns into a complex and painful situation. It's common to feel vulnerable when addressing certain topics, but vulnerability is an essential part of any healthy relationship. By opening up, you not only share your concerns, but also give the other person a chance to open up. This exchange can strengthen the bonds between you, creating a space of mutual trust. When you refuse to engage in difficult conversations, you're sending a clear message that you prefer to avoid conflict rather than face reality. This choice may seem easier in the moment, but in the long run it tends to cause more pain. The truth is that conflicts are inevitable, but what matters is how you manage them. Facing difficulties head-on can be the key to a stronger, healthier relationship. Identifying and expressing your needs is a crucial part of this process. You might feel that your desires are trivial or not worth discussing, but it is essential to give them a voice. When you ignore your own needs, you end up fueling a cycle of resentment. It is important to remember that you have the right to be heard and to express your expectations. The fear of not being understood or of provoking a negative reaction can be paralyzing. However, it is essential to remember that communication is not just about conveying information. It is about building a connection. By opening up, you give the other person the opportunity to understand your point of view, which can lead to deeper empathy. You might wonder, what if I say something that hurts the other person? This is a valid concern, but it is important to consider the opposite. What if I say nothing and lose what we have? This reflection can make a difference in your decision to communicate. The cost of remaining silent may be higher than the discomfort of an honest conversation. Furthermore, difficult conversations can serve as an opportunity for growth. They allow you and the other person to learn about each other and strengthen the relationship. Each dialogue is a chance to align expectations, resolve misunderstandings, and create a safe space for vulnerability. When you refuse to enter this space, you miss the chance to evolve together. It is normal to feel anxiety before an important conversation. The anticipation of what might happen is often scarier than the actual conversation. However, this anxiety can be a sign that communication is necessary. Use this feeling as an indication that there is an important issue to be addressed. Another issue to consider is the repetition of patterns. If you find yourself always avoiding conversations, it is time to question why this happens. There may be past experiences that have led you to believe that staying silent is the best option. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to breaking them. Remember, you are not a prisoner of your past. It is possible to change the way you communicate and, consequently, the quality of your relationships. Furthermore, it is worth noting that clarity in relationships is vital. When you express your concerns, you are contributing to an environment where everyone feels safe to open up. This not only improves the quality of the relationship, but also helps to prevent future problems. Clear and honest communication is one of the pillars of any healthy relationship. If you still feel resistance, seek ways to initiate the conversation. It may be helpful to choose a quiet moment where both of you can sit and talk without distractions. Prepare for what you want to say, but also be open to listening. Active listening is just as important as expression. This is the moment to create a space where both of you can share your perspectives and feelings. The time to act has come. Do not let the fear of the unknown prevent you from seeking the clarity you so desire. Silence may seem safer, but the truth is that it often leads to confusion and regret. You have the power to transform your reality. You deserve relationships that promote your growth and well-being. Do not let silence define your story. Use your voice, express your emotions, and seek the connection you long for. The path may not be easy, but the results will be worth it. The emotional freedom that comes from open communication is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and those around you. Communication is the bridge that connects people, and when that bridge is neglected, you risk feeling isolated. With each conversation not had, emotional distance increases, and this can become unbearable. What you need to understand is that this disconnection can manifest in various areas of your life, impacting not only your personal relationships, but also your mental and emotional well-being. When you avoid communicating, you are, in fact, feeding uncertainty. This can create an environment conducive to the emergence of assumptions. You may start to imagine that the other person does not care or is unhappy with the relationship, even if there is no clear evidence of this. These assumptions can be harmful, as they may lead to impulsive actions or disproportionate reactions that ultimately cause more harm than benefit. It is crucial to recognize that communication is not just about what is said, but also how it is said. The way you express yourself can influence how your words are received. Therefore, it is essential to be clear and direct in your intentions. When you communicate your needs assertively, you give the other person a chance to understand your perspective and react appropriately. In this process, empathy plays a fundamental role. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. How would you feel if you were on the other side? This reflection can help you approach the conversation more sensitively, considering not only your feelings, but also theirs. This can facilitate a more open and honest dialogue. Another point to consider is the importance of timing. Choosing the right moment to initiate a difficult conversation can make all the difference. Avoid bringing up delicate subjects when you or the other person are stressed or distracted. A calm and conducive environment can help the dialogue flow and make the involved parties more receptive. When you feel prepared for the conversation, it is helpful to start by expressing your intentions positively. Instead of pointing fingers or using an accusatory tone, begin by stating that your goal is to improve the relationship and resolve misunderstandings. This can help establish a collaborative rather than confrontational climate. Additionally, pay attention to body language. What you don't say can be just as powerful as the words you choose. Maintain an open and receptive posture and avoid crossing your arms or looking down, as this can convey defensiveness. Non-verbal communication is an important part of dialogue and can often reinforce or contradict your words. If the conversation begins to take a negative turn, don't hesitate to take a step back. It may be necessary to take a break and allow both parties to reflect on what has been said before continuing. Space can help reduce tension and allow each person to process their emotions. It is normal for intense emotions to arise during these conversations. Remember that feeling anger, sadness, or frustration is part of the process. What matters is how you deal with these emotions. Instead of letting them dominate the conversation, use them as an opportunity to express what truly matters to you. If at any point you feel that the conversation is straying from its focus, do not hesitate to redirect it. Bring the dialogue back to what truly matters, your need for clarity, understanding, and connection. This can help prevent the discussion from turning into a blame game and instead lead to mutual understanding. However, be prepared for the possibility that the other person may not react as you expected. They might need time to process what has been said or may not be ready for the conversation. This does not mean that your feelings and concerns are not valid. What matters is that you had the courage to express yourself and seek the truth. If the conversation does not result in the immediate resolution you expected, do not get discouraged. Dialogue is a continuous process and often requires multiple interactions for things to become clear. What you can do is keep the door open for future conversations, making it clear that you are willing to continue the dialogue when the other person feels ready. The practice of honest and open communication can be challenging, especially if you are not used to it. However, the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. You will begin to realize that the truth, although it can be uncomfortable, is always preferable to silence and uncertainty. Finally, remember that you are not alone in this journey. Many people face similar difficulties in their relationships, and by seeking clarity and connection, you are joining a larger movement of honesty and vulnerability. By allowing yourself to be authentic, you not only improve your own interactions, but also inspire others to do the same. Change begins with you. By breaking the cycle of silence and uncertainty, you take a significant step toward a healthier and more rewarding relationship. Do not underestimate the power of words and the importance of expressing yourself. You deserve to live a life where communication flows freely and where your needs and feelings are recognized and valued. When you decide to express yourself, you are also creating space for authenticity. Transparency in relationships not only strengthens bonds, but also helps build a solid foundation for the future. It is crucial to understand that every conversation is an opportunity for growth, both for you and for the other person. You may be apprehensive about how the other party will react, but it is important to remember that fear should not be a barrier. Communication is an act of courage. When addressing delicate issues, you not only stand up for yourself, but also open the door for the other person to feel safe to express themselves. This environment of trust is crucial for resolving conflicts and strengthening the relationship. Do not be afraid to confront reality. Unspoken truths can cause more pain in the long run. When you feel comfortable to speak, you start to break down the barriers that create distance. Clarity in conversations can transform misunderstandings into understandings and frustrations into solutions. If you are finding it difficult to start the conversation, consider writing down your thoughts before the talk. This can help organize your ideas and communicate more clearly and effectively. Having a mental roadmap can reduce anxiety and ensure that you do not miss important points you want to address. Throughout the conversation, be mindful of how you express your concerns. Avoid accusations and focus on how you feel about the situation. For example, use phrases that begin with "I feel" instead of "you do." This can soften the approach and make the dialogue more constructive. It is vital that you are also open to feedback. Active listening is a skill that must be practiced. Ask the other person how they feel and be willing to listen without interrupting. This not only demonstrates respect, but can also reveal insights that you hadn't considered. Remember that you won't always achieve the desired result immediately. Some conversations can be challenging and take time for both parties to process the information. The important thing is that you have taken the first step and created a space for dialogue. If the conversation doesn't go as expected, do not give up. Often, understanding takes time and multiple conversations. Keep an open and available attitude for future discussions. This shows that you are committed to the relationship and willing to work together. Finally, value the small victories. Every time you express yourself, even if it is about a minor topic, you are building your communication skills. This practice will lead to a stronger and healthier relationship where both will feel comfortable opening up. Change is a gradual process, but each step is a move towards the clarity and connection you seek. Before you leave, do two things now. Take a deep breath and hold on to what touched your heart today. And, if it makes sense, share this story with someone who also needs to hear it.